Hello and welcome to the Brick News, the weekly show on all things brick building, where we talk about set updates and announcements from all the major brands, MOCs of the week, and a few news as well. Information is presented as always by setdb.org, the best source for set information on the internet, and this is where we are going to go. And here we have a couple of updates. First of all, BlueBrixx. Here we have for Blaustein Castle now the Mint Tower available, the 107505. So that is basically what you can see here on this picture. So this dark area, if you will, so it's a lot of palisade, but like I mentioned, like the name suggests, also the Mint Tower itself. So overall, when you have all the extensions to this point, this is actually how it's going to look like. At this point, I do believe we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 extensions, right? Plus the original castle. All of them have, with one exception, basically around 5,000 pieces. So my guess is you will be in the ballpark of 27,000 pieces, something like that. I don't know. It's a lot of stuff and you will need a lot of space. However, keep in mind, there are also other sets on the market that are part of the Blaustein universe, if you will. So we had several buildings actually that you could also integrate. So they're all prepared, they all have connection points to integrate them into these palisade. And with that, you have, I guess, something like in the ballpark of 2 square meters. And I don't know how many square feet that are, but technically, it's a lot of stuff, right? And anyhow, so this extension, it's designed by Anton. It's going to cost you around 150 bucks. Obviously, depending on where you live, your mileage may vary here. So this is pricing in Germany, 150 euros. But I think for us, it's like $4 shipping. But I'm pretty sure, depending on where you live, this could be actually a lot more. Anyhow, I think it's great news that we finally have this extension, and yeah, I think looking forward, I think there has been one larger extension announced as well, but also palisade extensions and additional buildings that you can put basically here on the right side of the entire construction. So if you're into medieval or castle or stuff like that, I think this is by far the largest and most detailed concept you can get into. By the way, it says right here, bricks by Kunlong, but I do believe it's going to be BlueBrixx pieces. For those of you who are not that familiar with Chinese manufactured bricks, so we assume right now that's BlueBrixx. Is not confirmed yet. I know a couple of folks who will get this castle this week, or this extension, but usually all the previous extensions have been BlueBrixx. And from a quality standpoint, this is basically like Lego from a quality standpoint. So keep that in mind. And like I said, 3 cents per piece. That's quite a bargain. And these are not small pieces. This is not a light set. Anyhow, let's move on. Let's come to the other castle concept that BlueBrixx has, which they call Beer Rock. I have done reporting about this one in the past. So this is more like a kids-focused series, if you will. And here we have now for Beer Rock itself an extension. It's called the Knights Tournament 108112. As always with BlueBrixx at this point in time, this is just an announcement. Basically, that means we do not have a price point yet. But it's going to have 938 pieces, 8 minifigs, 2 horses, as far as I can tell. And as you can see, this theme is basically that you have here a tournament where like the evil knight and the good knight, in quotes, are meeting on the tournament grounds. You have 2 tents, both brick built, and then you have basically the king's seat or something like that as well. However, as far as I can tell, there is no king. Basically, this part of the building is empty. You will have 4 peasant minifigure, if you will, and then 2 knights and 2 of his staff. But the king is missing, which is interesting. So I do assume we may see something going forward. The next set is from Ravenstone. So that is the counterpart to Beer Rock Castle. This is actually new. Beer Rock has been on the market for quite some time, but BlueBrixx has now 2 sets announced basically for the counterpart, i.e. the Dark Knight that you just saw in the tournament. And this is around the story of Ravenstone Fortress. The 107423 was already announced a couple of months back. I think I did. Did I report on this one? Yes, I did. In January, actually. So it's quite some time ago. We have now a bit more precise pictures. And for this castle, which is not on the market yet, we have now here the Ossuary? I have no idea how to pronounce that. I've never read this word, actually. I'm pretty sure I know what it means, but no idea how to pronounce it. Anyhow, my apologies to all native speakers. But, you know, I'm German after all, so I know my English is horrible. But I can tell you this set is going to have 900 pieces, 3 minifigures. And I'm pretty sure I really like this center figure here. She's kind of a, I don't know, something like a witch or something, like evil Casserer wizard sort of type. And I think I really like her skirt. And I also must say, I mean, this is not by far not the first female figure that BlueBrixx has done, but I really like the design. I actually prefer it compared to Lego's figure from that point of view, because like the hips and everything is actually part of the mold. It's not printed on. But in general, I mean, I will always go first with Lego minifigures, but I really like this concept, and it looks, at least on these pictures, highly detailed. There are very nice prints on the skirt and everything. While the male figures with the legs, this is not really my cup of tea. Anyhow, next to the, let's call it the sorceress, you also have like a soldier, and he's really scared because there's kind of a zombie, walking behind him, which is a bit scary, I guess. The set itself is, I think we have a size. Yes, it's roughly 14 by 18 centimeters and 18 in height, or that's roughly 5.5 by 7 by 7 inches. Anyhow, here we go. Ravenstone Fortress. And then they have also announced another brick body out of their MOCs line. It's the 108356, kind of a cyborg. They call it Cyborg Model 101. I have actually no idea which cyborg this is, but pretty sure usually BlueBrixx, that means they have a pop culture reference. This brick body will have 310 pieces. And here we go. I mean, for those of you who have never seen a brick body, this is a slightly different design concept than what, for instance, Lego is using with their brick hats. I've actually never seen one myself, but it is for sure slightly bigger. It's like a 6x6 stud, or even like 7x7 stud almost, a hat. So it is definitely bigger than a brick hat, but like I said, I've never seen one. But it looks quite nice, actually. And then we have a diorama steam locomotive on a viaduct. Actually, I was thinking a lot, like, should I even talk about this one? Because for me, it is basically a locomotive on a viaduct. But technically, I mean, it is a red train and there's a blue car flying around it. So yeah, it's kind of a Harry Potter thingy. But I don't know, you could also see it, it's just a regular train. But yeah, it's like a very, very deep in the gray area. Like, it's very dark gray. But anyhow, I actually must say the reason why I'm talking about this set is because I originally missed the blue car. That's why it's in here, so I would just stick to it. But technically, yeah, I'm pretty sure that's a typical BlueBrixx thing. Hey, we don't have a license, but we want to grab a little bit of the Harry Potter cake as well. Very unfortunate. Anyhow, we're talking about the 108467, so make your own decision, make up your own mind. What I can tell you is the set has roughly 1,700 pieces, and yeah, I think it's a very nice diorama. And without the blue car, I think I would be totally happy. But with the blue car, it's pretty sure what the set is supposed to be. Anyhow, let's move on to the announcement of a large tractor with tools, the 108125. This is a real cool thing, I do believe. It has 692 pieces, 2 minifigures. And it is a tractor, but there's also other stuff around it, right? So the tractor has a format that is very close, and even the design is very close to the current Lego City tractor. But it has a ton more stuff in there. It has 2 minifigures and a ton more stuff. And this is, I think, what is really cool about it, and what I do believe is what Lego should have done. Because, I mean, Lego has a little bit of let's say, farm life in city, but it's such a small group of sets, and each of these sets is lacking a lot. It's close to impossible to build a farm nowadays out of Lego, right? Obviously, a lot of manufacturers are jumping in here. Kittycraft over here in Germany is doing a great job right now, having a great line of farm sets. I did talk about those in the past, but BlueBrixx, I think, also is on track here, because I really do believe that you have so much stuff that you can attach to the tractor, which is really good news. Actually allows you to really have, some action on your farm. Anyhow, with that, we're moving on to I have no idea how to pronounce this. The Haunebu Olive Green 107283 is now available, 20 bucks. It's basically a UFO, and I'm pretty sure again has a pop culture reference that I'm actually missing. My sincere apologies for my ignorance, but I can tell you it has 535 pieces, and with that price point, that makes 3.7 cents a piece. Yeah, I never did any reporting on this one before, but here we go. And then we have a highway racing car. So my guess is this is a Lamborghini. They don't have a license, and if I look at it, I think this is one of the Cannonball sets cars, isn't it? Anyhow, 107549. It's a 1x18 system car, so it has 1,548 pieces. That is at a price point of 55 bucks, 3.5 cents a piece. Not too shabby. It's a ton of black pieces because it is a BlueBrixx special. Usually means you don't have back separation. So basically you have all the pieces. I mean, they come in multiple backs, but they're usually separated by brick type and not, there's no phases in there. Let's put it that way, as is typical for BlueBrixx special. So keep in mind with this bad boy, you will have roughly 1,000 black pieces on the table, which is not going to be fun to build, I'm pretty sure, but it looks nice. Then we have a flower, Hortensia Pink. I have no idea why they are doing this one. I think they haven't done many of these kind of flowers. This basic kind of flower that you put in a vase, right? I think BlueBrixx has not really a line for that. They have done this maybe from time to time, but obviously there's a lot of choice nowadays. A lot of Chinese manufacturers are making these. Lego is making these, like these creator roses, for instance, stuff like that. So yeah, if that is your cup of tea, the 108266 is announced right now. It is just one flower and has 196 pieces. Then we have something available that I personally really enjoy. It's a pretty cool design. It's a ModBrixx design, or out of the ModBrixx line by BlueBrixx, and it's called the Motorcycle Center, the 107515. And I think, yeah, this is a really detailed, modern motor shop. I mean, there are like very speedy machines in there, but I guess, if that is not your cup of tea, you could also come up with your own design, put in a shopper or something like that, make this a Harley Davidson shop. It's already partly orange, so you should be totally fine. But yeah, here we go. I think it's a pretty cool design. It's open in the back, so a ton of possibilities to, move in there and play around with it and fool around. But I'm pretty sure you could also just buy a second one in order to close this up a little bit more. Right? Because you have this. No, it's actually, you can see this here. It's basically removable panels. Oh, that's amazing. So you have direct access to clean it, which personally I think is always a huge issue also with modulars for whatever reason. At least in my modulars, I've always dust on the inside. So this makes it a lot easier to clean this up, but also to play with it, and also, of course, to basically position minifigures, stuff like that. So that is a really cool idea. So it's quite open, but I'm pretty sure you could also just buy multiple ones and make it even better, bigger shop. Sorry. So yeah. Great design. Just keep in mind, this thing is not on a base plate. It's actually on a regular 32x32 plate. For those of you who come more like from Lego, more and more companies outside of Lego are doing this, putting basically all these buildings on regular plate. Obviously, if you want to put this on a sandwich or sandwich construction, this makes this a lot easier because you don't have to switch out the base plate. But also keep in mind that if you want to combine these, for instance, with Lego modulars, you may have an issue there. Obviously, it's also easier to integrate these things with the new street system. So Lego is, for whatever reason, has decided to go up to plate height, actually it's 2 plates, with their street system, but keep all their modulars on base plates, which is weird. But hey, here we go. Lego's a big company, so obviously they have maybe even different factions inside the company. Who knows what the reason is? Anyhow, BlueBrixx has also announced the 108470. It's called the parking space with charging station and car. Pretty sure there's a BMW i3. I actually drove one of those many, many years ago. My company had one in the carpool. And I remember when I was driving this bad boy back in the day that I was thinking, okay, I can never go back to petrol. This is so much cooler. This is when I decided, okay, whatever you think from a, let's say, environmental point of view, if electric cars make sense or not, I can definitely tell, or I at least decided back in the day, it's so much more fun. They're simply the better cars. Anyhow. Actually, the i3 was a terrible car because it had just a range of like 110 10 kilometers or something like that. How many miles is that? Like 70 miles or so, which was ridiculous, but it was fun to drive, I must say. Anyhow, BlueBrixx has here now this street set with where you can park 2 electric cars. It's 16 by 32 studs, I guess. Again, not on a base plate. And my guess is the idea is a little bit that you buy multiple of these, right? And then you can make a bigger parking lot. It's all in blue. But I guess you could also, I don't know, if you have a nice Tesla design, you could throw this in here as well. Other electric cars for sure should be compatible. 442 pieces. With that, we're moving on to an availability. The Soviet Lunar Lander LK, the 107458, is now available. BlueBrixx is asking for 25 bucks, not too shabby. And that's 3.6 cents a piece because there are 700 pieces in there. And what can I say? I mean, it's amazing that BlueBrixx has done this. From a scale perspective, I'm pretty sure I don't know, maybe it fits with Lego's Apollo lunar lander, because technically the Soviet variant was a lot smaller and a lot lighter. So the Soviets, I mean, first of all, of course, they never made it to the moon. We all know that. So this was kind of a failed project. But even if they would have done, they could not transport as much stuff because they did not have a rocket that had the size of the Saturn V. So this thing was actually a lot smaller than the US one. I think the idea was to have only one cosmonaut in this bad boy. So it was a lot lighter and a lot smaller because simply they had to design it like this. I think they had also concepts to make it bigger, let's say in phase 2 and 3, to bring also 2 cosmonauts like the Americans did to the planet, or not to the planet, to the moon, of course. But I think, yeah, like I said, they never came to this point. But yeah, it's cool to have it. It's definitely an interesting concept. And then we have the safe robbery. This is interesting, 108135. Actually, I mean, I was scratching my head when I saw the set, because for those of you, for instance, from across the pond, obviously you say, yeah, it's a police car, and you know, these minifigures have police uniforms, but BlueBrixx is a German brand, and most and foremost, I'm pretty sure, like their customer base is in Central Europe. So why are they making a police car and not like a European, like an US American oriented car? That's interesting. I don't know why. Maybe because Lego is doing it. But Lego obviously has a huge market in North America. BlueBrixx does not. So it's interesting. I don't know. Last year they made a fire engine, and all the minifigures looked like Chinese fire engine firefighters, because BlueBrixx basically sourced the design in China from human back in the day. So that was understandable, because they did know, okay, they took the human designs, but I think this is a new origin BlueBrixx design. So why are they doing this like this? I do not know. I think they missed the opportunity here, because I think there are not many ways to buy like European police and firemen from a brick brand. Anyhow, for minifigures, it's typical police robbery kind of set. You have a little bit of nature in there, you have like a safe in there, and then you have 2 cars. The cars actually look quite nice. With that, we're moving on to availability of 107504 Chernobyl as a 2-in-1 set, which is a bit, I don't know. When I saw this set for the very first time, I think, I did reporting on this. I think this is the day when this was first announced. I was thinking, okay, this is a bit rough, right? Because I mean, this thing is basically a graveyard, right? But anyhow, they've created this set. It's a 2-in-1 set, and 2-in-1 means here you can basically restructure it to how it looks like before the accident or the incident and after, which is, like I said, I mean, I don't know. I'm not judging. If this is your cup of tea and you're just, interested in what happened and you want to build it, so go ahead. BlueBrixx has you covered now. It's actually just 60 bucks, 3.4 cents a piece, because this thing has 1,800 pieces. It's not a small set. Based on the size numbers that we got from BlueBrixx, I did not count, but it's 25.5 by 25.5 centimeters or 10 by 10 inches, i.e. 32 studs. But I guess it's again not on a base plate. Looks a bit like it's on a regular plate. Anyhow, moving on to a US chase. Is the name of the set, U108427. It's a police car, entirely brick built, and a motorcycle. The motorcycle is really, really cool. It looks from a design perspective very similar to the motorcycle Center because it's designed by the same guy, so I think it's exactly the same, but the police car is very nice because I think what they did with the star here looks like, you know, typical. I mean, it's a star with 5 points. I'm pretty sure the US police uses 6. I may be entirely wrong here. Please keep me honest. But the point is, it's entirely brick built and still looks very authentic, I do believe. I mean, yes, it's a 6-star car, so how authentic can it be? What I'm trying to say is, okay, this thing lives entirely by its brick built design, and for that, it's really cool, I do believe. Nice concepts in there, cool design, nice set. This thing is just an announcement at this point in time. It's going to have 254 pieces. And then we have availability of the US truck in red, white with cargo. Yes, BlueBrixx set title names are sometimes a bit boring, but I guess you get the idea what is in there. The 107471, so this is a big truck and it has a big... it has like everything that you need, right? It has 1,178 pieces, you have a large trailer, you have a lot of cargo, and you have the truck itself. And I think it's a really nice brick built design. It is again one of these sets like BlueBrixx does from time to time, where I would say, okay, this looks very good, you know, on a shelf for you know, a collector. It should make a great figure in a big city, in your brick built city. But it's also, I think, a nice set for kids to play around with. Obviously, again, BlueBrixx has the big benefit here when it comes to play sets that it is, you know, quite a large set. It has more than 1,100 pieces, but it's still just $50. So, you know, not breaking the bank here. But yeah, here we go. That was BlueBrixx. With that, we're moving on to Cobi, and here we have a lot more information and pictures actually and images now finally on the Avro Lancaster B3. And here of course BlueBrixx, I mean, this is actually a set I've been really looking forward to. Always wanted to have a Lancaster. I've never, no, that's not true. I built, I think, the Osprey. Yeah, I did build the Osprey. I think that's the only plane, but you may argue that the Osprey is actually not a plane, more like a helicopter. Anyhow, I've never really built a Cobi plane. I mean, a bit a MiG-29 and the Osprey, but never one of these large airplanes of Cobi. And I think this set is really something I was looking forward to. And they will have, as always, 2 editions. The 5758 is the Dambuster edition. So the Dambusters was a unit, if you will. It's not the airplane itself. And then they have a regular version 5759. We also have first price points over in the US. BlueBrixx has this thing on pre-order. So for them, it's like $140, and over in Europe as well. But I can't tell, of course, at this point in time when we can expect the release. I mean, Cobi has said August, but August already gone, so we are still waiting for the official release or that these shops get these things actually in stock. So Dambuster edition has more pieces. It has 1,747. That's roughly 150 more than the regular version, and the main reason, I guess, is the stand. So if you're interested in the stand, then I guess you should go for the executive edition. Also, the executive edition has 3 minifigures. The regular edition has only 1. So depending on where you are, obviously you don't need the stand. The thing can stand on its own, but yeah, I guess the stand gives it a little bit more dynamic. However, these old bombers of that time, I think they really look nice just standing on the ground. So personally, I don't even need the executive edition, to be honest. But yeah, they have 3 minifigures. And I think it's a beautiful airplane. Again, great job by Cobi. It has an interior. Obviously, I think it's 1x48, so it's not to scale, right? That would be more, I think Cobi minifigure scale is usually considered 1x35. So this thing is not up to scale. So for instance, if you look at the pilot seat, there's only a space for 1 minifigure, not 2 next to each other. But I mean, like I said, they have managed to do at least a little bit of interior, and this is great news as well. With that, we're moving on to also a little bit more information and pictures on the T-34 76 mod 1941-42. Anyhow, It's a T-34 tank, 2595. I think I did talk about the limited edition in the past, which also had more minifigures, like German minifigures, because of course the Germans also captured a few T-34s and were, you know, using them. So this is, I think, the idea of the limited edition, but this is like the regular one now that you can actually pre-order. So BlueBrixx has them for around 95 bucks, and also in the EU we do have this thing. For instance, Brickmo in Austria has this thing on pre-order. So I think I did talk about this one before. This one here also has a 2-in-1 function. So there's like Polish Army and Red Army. I mean, obviously, Polish Army T-34 is a bit of a niche, I guess. But again, Cobi is doing this a lot because, you know, it's a Polish company. And so I think this is actually really great compared to BlueBrixx, who is doing American policemen as a German company selling to Germans. That's interesting. Anyhow, I think Cobi has done a great job here. T-34. So I think if you're always looking one for a T-34 in snow-covered, if you will, or white paint, then I think this is for you. Keep in mind, this is a 1x28 tank. So like I said, 1x34. 5 is more the minifigure scale at Cobi, so these are slightly bigger, but I think they still work well with minifigures. Then we have two flowers, two orchid, actually. I'm not really sure if these names are the correct ones. They could also be just rough translations from the Chinese title of these two sets. Anyhow, we have two orchids that you can now buy in China, in this case from my partner Bauer, for around 21 bucks, 3004. It's a blue orchid, it's in a blue cup. And then you have the 3012, which is actually in a red wine glass, which is, I think, quite creative. Never seen that. Doesn't look very robust, to be honest. But yeah, I'm actually not sure what this lower part of the wine glass is made of. It looks almost, it could be Technic. No, I don't think so. This is maybe just brick built, which would maybe a rigid hose on the inside. I don't know. I'm not sure how robust this thing is going to be, but it still for sure looks interesting. Let's put it that way. With that, we're moving on to Lego. And here we have now a little bit more information on Batman, the classic TV series Batmobile, the 76328. We do know now it's going to have 1,822 pieces. Price point, I'm not sure. I don't have it here, but I think it's 150 bucks maybe. What I can say is that we have seen the first EU, in the European Union, we had, I think, Pro Shop, for instance, which is a Danish online shop. I think they have it already listed for 125. So that means there's a discount, of course, but the MSRP is for sure higher, but I'm not sure if it's 150 or 160. Anyhow, we have pictures. That is important. And this is interesting because I think personally the car design, the brick design is amazing. Looks really great. Also like the window section, this is really amazing. However, what you can also see here is that this set has like a lot of stickers in there. So it's not a cheap set. So definitely should be prints in there. Even the black, as you can see here, this is an 8x16 tile, but it clearly looks like a sticker. So why Lego? I mean, all the big Technic sets, the Star Wars UCS sets now have a print here. I mean, that doesn't change. It would never change that the Lego 8x16 is not a good tile. It's an awful mold that they're using there, but it has an amazing, huge spruce mark in the center, which is really ugly, and there are a lot of companies who do a much better job on this, but anyhow, it should be at least printed and not stickered. That's at least my opinion. Anyhow, the car itself also has stickers, including doing stuff like trying to use, I'm pretty sure this is a sticker. I mean, let me get to a closer picture. At least on the inside, you can clearly see it, that you have a ton of stickers in there. This is very unfortunate. The other thing that really surprised me, and I also saw, maybe this is a bit disappointing, is it looks like, at least, again, maybe keep me honest here, but as far as I can tell based on the pictures, there's only one minifigure in there. There's only Batman. Where's Robin? I think you can't sell this car without Robin, right? I mean, he belongs into this car. So that's a bit strange, but again, we may get more pictures. At least on the box art, you can only see Batman and not Robin. again, if some of you has more information there and Robin in there is confirmed, please let me know in the comment section. Anyhow, with that, we're moving on to two icon sets, I do believe. One is the res, the 10340. So this is like already preparation for the holidays, of course. This thing has 1,194 pieces, and Lego is listing this for $100 US or 100 euros or 90 British pound or $130 Canadian. Yada yada yada. It's $100. That keeps this short. And yeah, I mean, if you're also into palm leaves, this could be an interesting buy. Not really sure. You should maybe do the math if you need a lot of these. And Bricklink may still be cheaper, but this could be a set if you're into palm trees and you need them for your mock or something like that. And there are also some pretty cool prints in there, I do believe. These dishes that they use for dried orange pieces, which is really cool. And yeah, and as you can see on this picture here as well, you can open this thing up and yeah, put this in different variations. Personally, I prefer the original, but if brick build is your cup of tea here, let's go with that. And with that, we're moving on to poinsettia. I guess that's Latin, so I guess I can pronounce it however I want, because who would correct me? But anyhow, the 10370, and it's part of Botanical Collection. It's gonna cost you $50. It has 608 pieces, and yeah, I think it's a very famous flower in the Christmas time, at least over here in Germany. Like a bazillion people are putting these in their homes around Christmas. Because of the red color. I'm actually not sure where this tradition came from. There may also be something deeper behind it. But anyhow, I think it's a good representation. It looks quite nice. And of course, it has a huge benefit because it's brick built. It will stay red and green, and you can even reuse it between the years. Anyhow, here you go, Botanical Collection. Then a couple of, I guess, important availabilities. So first of all, of course, Harry Potter Collector's Edition, The Burrow, is now available, 76437. Lego has also a couple of gift with purchases and stuff on their site. So if this is your cup of tea, you can actually buy this thing now. Actually, something that I did forget is also, this is awful here, I think... Let me just check this. You can also now start pre-ordering Ideas Disney Tim Burton's The Nightmare Before Christmas. 21351 is now also available for pre-order. I actually did miss this in my list, but yeah, here you go. I think you need to be insider, i.e. you need to have an account at Lego, and then you can pre-order this one as well. As you can, The Legend of Zelda Great Deco Tree 2-in-1 77092. This one can be ordered now as well. It seems in some regions it's still on pre-order, but at least in the US and Europe, you can order this thing. I actually did. However, Lego has not started shipping yet, so I don't know. Let's hope for the best. With that, we're moving on to the minifigures Dungeons & Dragons 71047. They are now available. My personal highlight of this September 1st wave. So looking forward to these. Actually, I will pick mine up today. And I'm really looking forward building them. And I may even make a video about them. Really looking forward to this stuff. And then I will go very briefly through the calendars. In a nutshell, they're all now available. So this year we will have a Marvel calendar. We will have, of course, a City calendar. We will have a Disney calendar. I don't know if we had one last year, but also a Friends calendar. Harry Potter, of course, usually my highlight. I think this is also the case this year because Harry Potter, I think, is the one big calendar that also basically contributes to your Harry Potter collection because there's like a bazillion interesting pieces in there and also quite interesting minifigures. In contrast, usually the Star Wars mini calendar is more interesting because you have special Christmassy minifigures in there, which I personally don't really buy into. But there are, of course, also a ton of very cool nano builds and a couple of pretty good minifigures as well. With that, we're moving on to Pantasy. And here we have now seen in Asia, actually for the very first time, not by Pantasy themselves, usually retailers have these sets listed and even available a long time before Pantasy is making them available themselves. Usually, I guess, is Pantasy is waiting until they have these things in Europe at least, maybe also in the US in their in storage there before they actually make their announcements. And of course, Chinese retailers don't have to wait for that. So that's, I guess, the reason. But just guessing at this point. Anyhow, the Little Prince Star Castle is going to be, I guess, the largest set that Pantasy has ever made. For sure, the largest. I mean, let's just briefly check this. No, actually, there was this radio set. Really, this was bigger? I don't think so. I guess that's a mistake. Keep in mind that piece count is always a bit problematic because Pantasy is not putting these piece counts out themselves. It's usually coming from retailers. I have to double check that. I'm pretty sure this is the biggest set they have ever made. It's even bigger than the Baker Street modular. Anyhow, Little Prince, I think I talked already about this last week. They now have their own special minifigure for the Little Prince, which looks very authentic, very cool, very nice. And now they have this enormous, gigantic castle that, floats in the air, which is very well done. I'm really interested how robust this is, because this entire 3,000 piece castle is basically standing on 4 Technic lift arms, I think, something like that, in trans clear, which is interesting because usually the trans pieces are not as robust as the others are. But yeah, I guess they are sure what they're doing. I mean, it uses a ton of panels to get this size and I guess also as lightweight as possible. But I think it's a really beautiful design. And as always with Pantasy, I do assume we will see excellent BlueBrixx pieces and maybe even most of it pet printed or at least UV printed. Anyhow, with that, we are done with set updates of the week, and then let's come to a general industry news. The Lego Group presents figures for the first half of the year with double-digit growth. So I'm the first to basically say, okay, I was wrong. My apologies, because I was one of those folks who always said, okay, the pandemic is over now, and of course all these brick manufacturers or the entire hobby has grown dramatically, right, during the pandemic, because a lot of folks were sitting at home. They had budget because they couldn't go on vacation. They had a lot of time. So a lot of, companies were doing really, really well. They were into like sports, indoor sports, and of course a lot of hobbies. And some of these companies are in real trouble since then, right? Since the pandemic ended. And I always assumed this would happen for Lego and other brick companies like Cobi and BlueBrixx, etc. as well. So all of these, none of these companies is giving us any numbers, but Lego does. And Lego is basically saying, hey, we have been growing again, 13%, which is amazing. I mean, look at these numbers. The revenue, by the way, this is Danish kroners, so not euros or dollars, anything like that. Make your own math, what that means in your own currency. But I mean, they had this dramatic growth between 2020, 2021. So this was pandemic, and they then was like, a bit. It seems they had kind of a ceiling there, and then, however, this year they were growing very strong again. Overall, that means in the last 4 years they have doubled revenue, and this is a kind for a toy company that is in the business like forever. This is interesting for sure, and not what I expected. Also, the profit is growing again compared to last year. It's 26%. That sounds enormous, but keep in mind last year was a very big year for Lego. From a profit perspective, I think it had a lot to do with all the investments that the group was doing and new manufacturing plants and stuff like that. But I think they're now on track again, and basically in profits, they are back where they have been in 2021. And to my knowledge, and I think they put this in here somewhere as well, they are still investing like crazy. For instance, they opened 41 branded stores in the first half of the year. And I think they're still investing in these two, right, new manufacturing sites. And I think they're also investing in Denmark again. I think there were some announcements last year, the year before. So yeah, Lego is still investing like crazy. They're growing like crazy. I mean, for a software company, 13% is not that big, right? This is not Nvidia, but for a toy company that, again, is in the business for quite some time, this is, I think, pretty good numbers, and I admit I was wrong. I think Lego seems to do very well and seems to be able to transport all the growth during the pandemic in the post-pandemic time, which is interesting. Anyhow, with that, we're moving on to MOCs of the week, and here we have the Westfalen Münster, which is actually has been a set that has been sold by a German retailer, Barando. I think they're in Germany, at least they're German speaking, but I'm pretty sure. Anyhow, what they have done is they have created this, I think they called it Brick Sites, which was basically a line of their own products. They used Lego bricks for that. I think I'm not sure if they have a Bricklink shop. I think they do. So they're also big in the piece business. And sometimes, you know, retailers do this where they also make their own sets in Lego bricks, which usually is very, very expensive. But they sold these. And I think they had several runs, multiple of these dioramas of typical Central European / German cities. And now they're bringing in basically the instruction and the design to Rebrickable, which I think is very, very cool because these are very simple pieces. I'm pretty sure I guess I have 90% of the pieces in my collection already, and this might be true for many people. So this could be very interesting if you're into this. Wanted to have, maybe even if you're not from Germany, but you have some ancestors from Germany, this may be for you. $7, 553 pieces, which is not cheap, but it's a nice design. And with that, we're moving on to the Boeing C-17 Globemaster 3 by Pantasy. No, not sure. Anyhow, 17,314 pieces, which is like enormous. This is an airplane, and it seems to be mostly system built. I do assume there is a Technic infrastructure on the inside, but it is an amazing design. It looks quite accurate, and it's enormous. And usually, I mean, you can see these kind of airplanes on, you know, when you go to a venue or, I don't know, watch Beyond the Brick or anything like that. But having one of those available as an instruction to you, I mean, it's $200. That's quite an investment. And I'm actually not sure, as far as I can tell, all of these images are renders. So I don't know. I think the designer also has a lot of information in here, and the designer also have an Instagram. So before you invest $200, you may want to check out, like, has somebody built this thing for real? Because, you know, it's one of those MOCs where there's at least a huge risk that this thing is not that robust. I'm pretty sure the designer's done a great job, but again, I would look for proof. Like, has somebody built this one before I invest $200 and God knows how much money into 17,314 pieces. With that, we're moving up to another interesting design. I mean, it's a great design, first of all, but also the concept is really amazing. And this is by Jelko, who has done a 2-in-1 diorama, if you will, of an AT-AT and an AT-ACT. So basically what you have is this diorama of the AT-AT with the snow speeder. So that's like a Hoth diorama, if you will, but you can basically, I guess, you flip the base around, and then you also have these pieces and extra, or components and extra boxes, and then you can transform it into an AT-ACT and a U-wing instead of the AT-AT on Hoth with the snowspeeder, which is an amazing concept, very creative. Looks also very cool, this set. So I don't know. I personally never had the spice or the money for the Legos UCS AT-AT, and I don't really like the playsets. I mean, I had an AT-AT once, but I don't know, it is a playset, it's okay, but I've never really liked the design. But this one here looks amazing, and the 2-in-1 function is kind of cool. I don't know if I would bother building these boxes, but this could be also a great party trick, right? Because if you put it on a shelf like this, you know, folks might ask you, like, what's going on with these boxes? And they say, yeah, look what I got here. Quite cool. And with that, we're moving on to another MOC by Brickoli. Let's call it that, the Big Bang Theory Apartment 4A. This is amazing because I've built the idea set, the original one from Lego, like it's from 2015, which is problematic. So first of all, I'm somebody who likes to build by digital, and it's one of these 2015 sets that have an awful digital manual. I don't know why it happens. I've built multiple sets from that time era. Some have great high resolution PDFs, and some are just awful. And the Ideas Big Bang set is one of those. Maybe Lego has fixed it in the meantime, but when I built it like 2 years ago, it was awful. Plus, it is an old Ideas set, and I think Ideas has progressed a lot. It's quite simple, actually. So this here, I think, is a great alternative. So I don't know, if you have like Central Perk set or the Friends apartment or the office, I think this one here is much more apt to these by means of like just how much meat to the bone there is in the MOC. I think the most important pieces are there, also from the original idea set, but you also have like the working desks of Sheldon and everybody. The kitchen, of course, is there, and you have the beginning of the floor back to the sleeping room rooms, which of course means you could make this thing even bigger. So maybe this designer will even do an extension one day. I think, yeah, it's the first mock from this designer, but I think it's already a great first shot. And I think if you have the original idea set, don't just want to, you know, bring this one to the next level, this could be it. And with that, we're moving on to a great design that I really was looking forward to, that somebody would do it. When I built the 75394, so the new ISD playset, I was pretty sure, like, okay, this thing is already very detailed. I think there's it advanced really a lot from its from an optical standpoint compared to the 10-year-old predecessor. But still, it's not a display model, right? It's not Starship Collection level, especially because the underbelly was basically missing. So what this designer has done, an Indoril Amiga, I don't know if that was correct, has actually made this a full-blown version, and there are two variants. One is basically, the ISD, just as it says here, it's slightly larger, unflattened bottom, and of course it has a stand. And then there's also the Chimera version from the new Ahsoka series. So I think both of them have been built for real, which is great news. That means it should be quite robust and standing. Personally, I would build the original one. But yeah, if you've bought the set, there's some great minifigures in there. So this, I think, makes this really an option. Also, like as a collector, as a, you know, as a grown-up collector, like, okay, let's buy this bad boy. Let's have the minifigs, because like I said, there's a gunner in there and other cool minifigs, and then, you know, invest a few more pieces and have this thing on the shelf, which I think should go very well together with the Starship collection or mid-size collection, whatever you might call it. Anyhow, with that, we're moving on to the Parthenon. I don't know. Of course, Greek, mountain, Athene. You know the drill. From I Build Things, 547 pieces, $5. For this mock, actually Lego has done this one in this insiders thingy that you could buy for insiders points. I actually just built it a couple of weeks ago. The Lego version is a lot smaller, because they basically, I think they had pieces, they had, I don't know, less than 1,000 pieces, and they were building 4 of these. But anyhow, the problem of the Lego one was that because it is a modern ruin, so the way it looks today in Athens, so not the original one, obviously, the roof is missing and everything. The problem is there's only one color. It's basically just white, especially if you in this scale. And, you know, and if you go too small, and I think this is a problem that the Lego design, from my point of view, had, is that in a nutshell, it just, you know, there's just not enough contrast. It looks boring, to be honest. But I think here in this size, it works a lot better. I would argue that this is the minimum size that you need to go. And I think this design has done that. So yeah, great design. Still, contrast is an issue. There's a lot of white and dark tan, and that's it. But there's also a beauty to that, right? So yeah, really like this. With that, moving on to the Fashion Saloon by Strixon 1973. 2,911 pieces. This is a full-blown modular. And it's a fashion saloon, like the pictures show. It has been built for real. There's a ton of detail in there. Really like the design. And yeah, I think if you are in the market for a full custom modular building, this may be interesting, because it's like it has a beautiful design. It is, I don't know, it has a lot of detail to it. Still, it looks very like down to earth to me, which I think is also a big benefit to some other modular MOCs out there. With that, we're moving on to something truly crazy, but still a lot of fun. Sereno 90 has done the temple entrance. Obviously, that's the Jedi temple, and it's the Order 66 scene, if you will. So Anakin is marching with the 501st into the Jedi temple to basically massacre all the Jedi and all the younglings and everything. Like, I don't know, it's the saddest moment in Star Wars history. The deep fall of Anakin Skywalker and the clones, of course, who have been, you know, our beloved heroes for so long, for 7 seasons, and then it all ends with this mess. But the Jedi Temple, of course, is very hard to do into bricks. I mean, obviously, there are a lot of amazing MOCs. I mean, we all know the amazing piece that Solid Brick Studios has done, but even this Jedi Temple is not even close to being up to scale, right? So I think what Sereno 90 has done here is basically said, okay, let's do this in scale, or at least his interpretation of what the scale should be. And yeah, it's amazing, but you need 10,000 pieces just to create this entrance. And again, you may even argue that it's not enough. Should even be bigger. But here you go. I think it's a beautiful MOC. I guess I would not make it as deep, but the entire idea of having a minifigure scale MOC where you just, have Anakin and the troops and a glimpse of the General Temple is a really cool idea. And I think also very well executed in this MOC. And then I have a slight issue because my lack of pronunciation skills. So I don't know how you pronounce these ships. I would call them the Orleyberg. I don't know. Class destroyer, designed by US Navy. I think the account speaks for itself. 2,733 pieces for this destroyer, and I think it's very well done. As always, I tip my hat for every designer that manages to do these ships just with Lego bricks, right? I mean, I've built a ton of ships by Cobi, but Cobi is using like a bazillion different slopes that do not exist in the Lego universe to get all the shapes of the hull done. So every designer that managed to do that and still managed it that it looks very clean, I have a lot of respect for that, and I think this is what US Navy has designed here. The US Navy has actually designed here. The designer is asking for $17, which I personally do believe is totally fine. And yeah, it's a great design, and I think it's an important ship for naval history. So here you go. I think it's the first surface ship that comes from this account. So far, it has been most and foremost focused on submarines, including Red October and Typhoon and Virginia and Permit Class, etc., etc. But now we have the first surface ship. I think the largest MOC, I guess, is the Red October, which makes sense. I'm actually not sure if all of the ships from this designer are the same scale, which should be 1/200. Let's just check. Yeah, I think that's the concept, that all of these are on the same scale. Obviously, it means larger ships, you need more pieces. Red October is the biggest one. And with that, we're moving on to ET by Bricks. ET by Bricks. I don't know. Something like that is the pronunciation. Battle on Crate. 1,958 pieces. I really like this MOC. I think it's a very creative interpretation. I guess the idea was, okay, let's have a diorama in kind of a minifigure scale, but still everything is entirely out of proportion. But the goal is that everything that is tightly around the minifigure is up to scale, but then we shrink everything else. So I don't know. The door, which is enormous in the movie, of course, is very, very tiny. But the trench looks to scale. Of course, you have a ton of minifigures in there, and you even have one of these speeders in there, which is up to scale. And that, of course, means it's entirely out of proportion to the rest, right? I mean, this thing could not even go through the door. And obviously, in the movie, you could, I don't know, have 10 of these in parallel going through the door. But still, I think the speeder itself looks really cool. It's a minifigure scale. And like I said, the trenches as well, and the fight between Luke Skywalker and his weird nephew is in, you can represent this as well. It's a really cool concept, and I think there's a ton of stuff you could do, because you have always this problem, right? Star Wars is a good example, that basically it's almost impossible. 90% of all cool stuff in Star Wars you cannot build in minifigure scale, right? You cannot build the Imperial Senate or the Jedi Temple, or AT-AT you can, but it's so enormous that it's basically unusable. That is a huge problem that you always have, that if you make stuff, even small ships, look at the UCS Millennium Falcon. It's impossible to move this thing, and the AT-AT has the same problem, and this is just what Lego does. Look on the MOC side or look on buildings, etc. That's always a problem, but I think this is a great concept, a great idea, and it's very well executed. Basically, to put everything in a proportion that allows you to have the immersive, minifigure scale experience, but still put in important scenes and landmarks and still being in a reasonable size. Anyhow, that was, I think, the show for this week. I hope you liked the show. For those of you who watch this on YouTube, please leave a like or comment, or even better, subscribe to the channel. For all the others, depending on where you listen to this or watch this, like, follow, leave a comment, rate, subscribe. I don't know. This stuff is called different on any platform, but I still highly appreciate it if you press the right buttons. With that, thanks for listening. See you next week.